Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are back here on Mount Schmoedown. I'm one of your co-hosts, Brandon. We got Ben right there beside me. We got Ryan right there below us. Fellas, how was your week?
Good. How was yours?
Plenty of good matches to watch, so I really can't complain.
Yeah. My week's been obviously normal, like everybody else. It stresses out, but you know what? It's like once the weekend hits by, Hakuna Matata, you know.
Hakuna Matata. So I know it has technically been a week off for us because last week we were on Sunday during the Smash-a-thon, which went exceptionally well.
Yeah.
Between the donations to the Streamlabs, to his GoFundMe, to buying the merch, they raised $20,000.
Yeah,
which is absolutely incredible. So,
and the links, they're still open. The GoFundMe
correct.
is still open. So
yes,
yeah. I mean, right now with the Smash-a-thon, I mean, I know the first video is still up there, and the links are still in that first video, so you guys can definitely go there and definitely keep supporting for Kevin Smets, for his for his family, for his journey while he's battling cancer, and it was definitely a pleasure for all. I can't speak for all three of us, but I personally got to say it was a pleasure that we got to be able to participate in this, to be able to help, really contribute, really help bring our little slice of of the Schmoedown after shows into this, and provide hopefully with all of you that watched some entertainment value, and definitely again giving the chance to share our thoughts on like Kevin Smith's impact on how he was for us.
Yeah. Just remember, everyone, go get your butthole checked.
Yeah.
Go get your butthole checked. It's never too early to just make sure to get it checked. That way you don't have to worry about it and it creeping up there on you. But enough on that. This week we are covering the powder keg, Paul Preston. Oh, I think he just answered a match, not inside the match again.
That's right. I'm sorry, Paul, but the answer was not Days of Thunder this time. It was just not Days of Thunder.
Yeah. I thought that was a funny gag he had going through every single match. I think it was mainly his singles matches. He would go and sit down, and he'd already have an answer on his whiteboard. I just thought that was so funny. It was a running gag. Paul Preston,
different team matches as well.
Okay.
Because when he and Adam debuted against Egan the Brain, they had that. I think Paul was, because he just got more matches. He kept that flavor going. But it was still funny.
Paul Preston, season 7 has been a highly debated competitor. Some say he's the biggest disappointment, biggest letdown of season 7. I disagree. I don't think you can say that about any competitor, because it's not fair. With the pandemic, a lot of these competitors did not get as many matches as they normally would. It was basically almost just like a tournament only season. Like we had like those first couple matches before in like February, March, and April. Since then, it's just basically been tournaments. We had the Star Wars tournament, we had the Inner Geekdom tournament, we've had the Ultimate Schmoedown singles tournament, and now we're in the Ultimate Schmoedown teams tournament. It's pretty much been season 7.
Yeah,
that's literally all we had. So, yeah, if you look at his record, he hasn't won this year. He has not won in season 7 whatsoever. I believe it's 3 matches.
He played 2 teams matches and I think just 1 singles match.
3 matches.
Yeah, but even then, like you said, we can't say anything about this year regarding everyone playing in matches. Like, it's mainly been tournaments, and even then, almost everyone who got a chance to play, they had to adjust to everything being on the digital format. And with the digital format came its own risks, its own set of rules. So the fact that and when we break down Paul's season 7 matches, let's be honest, he never slouched. He didn't give a bad performance. It all just came down to things were just never, like every other competitor, things just didn't go their way, or they just end up getting the one question in a certain category that just stumped them. Even then
just his scores. So he first match is Tom and Paul versus Deep 13, gets 32 points. Eric Zipper, he gets 12. You could say that was his 1 week match because he didn't do that well. He struggled in round 2 with comic book movies. It wasn't one of his finest.
I believe wasn't that opponent's choice or it was just after a mulligan? Because I know
think it was after a mulligan.
Yeah, it was.
Nine.
Yeah. It was on a second spin because I believe his first spin was Festival Darlings. He's like, yeah, no,
Yeah.
I don't want to relive that one. He spins again, goes comic book movies. We will go more in depth with that later. And then their most recent match, Tom and Paul versus Final Exam, they get 29 points. Most of the time when you score that many, you're most likely going to win. Not in today's current team's division. No. If you score under 30, odds are you're probably not going to win. Especially in a tournament that's a very small tournament. Like it's
with very stacked teams. Like
extremely.
I'll be like what you just said. 29 points, and even their match against Deep 13, they got like 34 points. 31 points. Normal match. If they played against any other team, that's guaranteed victory. And it goes back to what during the early season 7 draft, Kate had a plan putting Tom and Paul Preston together because she saw how good both of those men were in season 6. The numbers they gave, their knowledge, and their strength. Like she saw a strong, solid team. And despite the losses, she's right. They are a strong, solid team. It just ultimately just came to.
There's this. Yes, you could say Brad is Paul's Achilles heel.
That's right. Whenever the boat is on, unfortunately, he just sucks up all the luck and just brings it on to himself. No, but yeah.
Let me ask you guys. Do you think Tom and Paul work together as a team?
Unfortunately, I thought their first match they did extremely well. I think both of their teams' matches this year they did extremely well.
Yeah.
You can look at their scores and their stats in those 2 matches, and I would say yes. They just one bad decision against Deep 13 and giving them Festival Darlings.
Yeah.
That's the reason they lost that match.
Yeah, it's pretty much top that versus top 10 where David gave Roka and those biopics, It's just sorry, you need to be aware of your opponent.
It was Kate's first match. So I
see that.
So I've heard that people say that Paul and Christian are the same person.
I have not seen them in the same room together, honestly. Paul was not there at the draft ceremony, and Christian was.
Yep.
Right?
So,
are they one and the same? Just saying.
I mean, let's just say Paul, he could be more of the he's the bizarro Christian, or he literally it's a Jekyll and Hyde situation. Christian's not doing a match. Guess what? We got Paul Preston. And here's one thing before we break down his stats. One thing I wanted to bring up at the Schmoedown Season 7 Awards, when everyone was doing like moments and characters, when I saw that nomination list of heels of the year and I saw Paul Preston on there, I really got bugged there. Wait, was he really a heel? Because his attitude came off.
He's a likable heel.
Yes, that's what I thought. I thought he was pretty much a tweener in that situation. Like it wasn't until maybe in some of his later matches I saw that heelish nature come out of him. Outside of his match against Ben, his 2 matches against Lon, his match against David.
Ben's spin movie release dates. That's not even. You're like, oh dear God.
No, and even then,
you're not getting steals on that one.
No. He did come close actually in that match. He did technically a steal, but then Gucci had got Ben to challenge. It was the Kira Kurosawa question. Mm-hmm. What year was Seven Samurais released? I believe the answer that was.
And I think they took out the question and they asked Ben a different one, which he got. So he almost got that steal opportunity. So let's just go ahead and get started from the beginning. His first match, well, technically his first appearance in the Schmoedown was in the free-for-all.
Yep.
Him and Adam Witt were both premiered in the Schmoedown in the free-for-all that season. They're very comedic. They're very funny guys. The movie guys are extremely entertaining to watch. If you haven't already, go back and watch their hour segment on the Smash-a-thon. Best segment ever. It's a reaction to a reaction to a reaction to a reaction. And then Bibbs reviews those reactions.
Yes.
I was dying. I'm like,
it was perfect. It was
so funny.
I think their segment on Smets as well, like when they made up a mock match between them and Smets, and it was nothing but their questions from their previous team's match in the tournament, and it was all like Kevin Smets just getting director's questions, and even though he's answering geek trivia, it's just like, no, and then they get it. It's like, yeah, it was just I'm sorry, Kevin, just questions were on your side there, bro.
They just went on your side, bro. Speaking of directors, that is Paul's best category, without a doubt. He just he's gotten Spinner's Choice, I think, twice, and he's put it on directors both times. In round one, directors, he's 2 for 2. So it's just one of those where they will insert it, but it's not one of the main ones that you'll see in almost every single one. He's gotten directors twice, yes, both Spinners. He won 3 of 4 against Rachel Silvestrini. He did check down once. He got one of them stolen, actually, on that one. And then he got another one. Actually, no, he got it 2 more times. He got Spinners again. Same thing, 3 or 4, one in multiple choice, got it stolen. But then he got directors in a teams match, go 6 for 6.
Exactly. And the way that the director's question, the directors he got against Rachel, it was a good, funny, like, kind of mirroring back to the movie guys versus Inky and the Brain. When they had gotten that spin, on their turn, they decided to go with Disney movies. And of course, this was a category that Rachel was very strong in. And then you saw how it played back against Paul, that his only director's question he missed was a Disney director's question. So it was kind of like that situation to where Paul did realize from his past matches that he's just not going to go somewhere within categories like Disney or Pixar, even though he has possibly he's definitely maybe gotten those questions picked up on the round ones.
Yeah. So yeah, it was the movie guys versus Shazam matches where he got directors in round 2, and they cleared the board there. So let's just kind of quickly browse over his stats here. So round 1, he went perfect 5 times so far in round 1. He's gotten all 5. So he's gotten 9 out of 9, 5 times out of 10 matches. Pretty phenomenal.
Ben, what are your thoughts so far with looking at Paul? His constant luck with getting perfect rounds.
Yeah, I don't know if you can call it luck. I mean, I'm getting the right person is luck. But you have to have the knowledge to know those answers. I think he's incredibly underrated. I think he's a really solid, great player. And people should be talking about him more, in my opinion.
I do agree. He definitely should be talked about more. I mean, this season 6, as we will go over it, he had despite his record, probably has the best average, the best statistics so far in points, especially in round 1. 5 times getting perfect rounds. I mean, even then, his lowest score was only 5 points, and that was against David Del Rio. Other than that, he's always either 1 point from a perfect round or he gets a perfect round. Despite,
Good job there, Logan.
Nice.
Tried to stump him, but you couldn't do it.
Just like when he almost any Patreon questions he got. I know in his Patreon question against Law and Harris the second time, it was just can you stump him? Maybe not. Looks like you can't. I mean, he still missed a question in that round, but it was kind of like that Patreon question was animated. You'd think after his matches against Inky and the Brain, he'd be struggling a little bit. No, he improves on it. That's one thing Paul has said in his promos. he maybe knew a bit to the strategy portions of the game, but the knowledge that's there in his brain. Like he's able to pull it. He doesn't have to worry too hard. He doesn't have to think too long when it comes to his questions. That's why in almost most of his wins, he's won by never being pushed to that 5-pointer. And when he is pushed to that 5-pointer, that's when we do see, unfortunately, of a down. We do where he is a bit unlucky in that situation, especially in his team's matches.
Yeah, teams. It's not that he's not good. He faces other teams that are better.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. I think Inky and the Brain were on the same level. I'd say. He's 0-4 in teams. So he's faced Inky and the Brain, Shazam, Deep 13, and Final Exam.
Yep.
He's 0-4.
And with that Shazam match, they took them to the last question, I believe, right? They went on TKO and went on KO. They brought them to the limit, right?
Yes. Yes, because they missed their 5-pointer in that match, and Shazam actually got it because that's how they won 32-30.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I believe it was
because the movie guys were
Brendan missed his 3-pointer.
Yeah, and they went back to the movie, and I think the movie guys. Oh fuck! I'm trying to break. I just have it written down. I don't have like the actual like back and forth written on here.
Yeah.
And the movie guys get that 5-pointer and they win.
Well, if they would have won, they would have taken out Shazam's momentum in that tournament. Honestly, if the movie guys had gotten that 5-pointer.
Yeah, well, Shazam would have been done because that was a team's tournament, so they most likely would not have gotten another match that year, and they probably wouldn't be teams champions right now.
No,
they would not.
Because I don't know if Coy would have taken them if they hadn't won the teams tournament last season and faced Founding Fathers at Spectacular. I don't think Coy would have taken them because they're Owen because
Well, they wouldn't have been a protected team, honestly, if they had lost to the movie guys. Because their record to become a protected team was because they were part of the tournament.
Okay, let me ask you guys this. If they won, and if they made it spectacular, could the movie guys have beaten Founding Fathers?
I don't know. It's really hard to say because it depends on what they would have done in the teams tournament. Were they averaging 30 plus a match? Then yeah. But if they had some where they barely squeaked by, it's really hard to say.
I agree with that. I mean, but even if we were judging solely off that match against Shazam, it is a strong, and I mean a very strong it's very strong to say they definitely would have made it to the end of the tournament. But then let's not forget who Shazam's final opponents were in the final, the family. So, but even then, I think I believe that the movie guys did make it to the tournament. If they had faced the Founding Fathers, it would have been a very entertaining match. Very entertaining.
I think they wouldn't have been to the family. I think they wouldn't have been to the family, personally.
I don't know. Drew McWaney's knowledge is
solid. At the same time,
next level.
Yeah.
So I don't.
I do see similarities though. Like the movie guys' opponents, I can almost say, Inky and the Brain and the movie guys, they did have some very similarities when you look at it. Because we're looking at their round ones. Paul obviously was the stronger player of the group. And while Devon Stewart is a very entertaining person, it was clear to me that Silvestrini was the one carrying them. And while Paul may have definitely gotten that perfect round, including the bonus question, you do see, at least when it was starting, Rachel was at least the one who was, she did miss a couple of questions, but she was the one at least keeping up with them. And then when we get to, of course, round two, it was all Devon there because they get Will Smith after Spinner's Choice.
Mm-hmm.
And even
now they did get 2 points in steals off 2 of them, so that was huge. But unfortunately, they didn't actually win that match. They actually lost that match
because, like mentioned, they got Disney's. They end up going multiple choice 5 times out of that match, allowing
5 times
the Brain to get 2 steals as well. So it was just unfortunately they thought, and I understood the strategy in that situation with Paul. He thought he was going to get some good questions, but then of course they were getting like a mixture of some classics and a couple of some of the new Disney questions. So it's kind of that stuff that really threw him off.
This was their worst teams match. They got 24 points.
Yeah.
Which is really funny to say that. You get 24 points in a teams match, and that you could say that's your worst match. They did struggle there in round 3. They missed their 2 and their 5. Now, Witt answered the 2-pointer. Preston answered the 3-pointer.
Got the 3-pointer, yeah.
So, not a bad first teams match, but you never want your debut to be in a loss because odds are you're not going to get another one. Like, a lot of people complain that not all the factions are getting the same number of matches. You have to win. Why should Christian put you in a match, have the public watch you, if either you're not entertaining or you're boring to watch? Like, you just don't have the knowledge.
Exactly.
Like, he has to promote the league. So if you have a good competitor that continues to win, you're going to keep putting them out there. Or say you have a competitor that maybe their character is not as exciting, but the knowledge is there. For me personally, it is Adam Collins. Adam Collins, without a doubt, has the knowledge. I just find his character extremely bland and boring. But he keeps winning, so Christian has to put him out there.
And also, when he does win, there are some changes in the Collins' character. Like after he had gotten towards, like throughout the tournament, he was mainly being that person taking one match at a time. But the moment he went up against Jeff Snyder, I mean, I think after he had beaten Lon Harris, his character started to develop a bit of a, I won't say arrogant tone towards it, but he would always end his things going, "I'm Adam Collins, I know more than you." And it started to increase more because in the finals against Snyder, he ended by going, "I'm Adam Collins, and I definitely know more than you." So you are seeing Adam, while, yes, we don't know his character yet, but every time in his promos, the moment when he does that button, you are seeing just shades, a bit of a character blossoming, especially in his match against Lon Harris. Every time he got a steal, he kept saying correction that led to a knockout. So Adam, he's got those small moments that, but when we look at Paul Preston, there's no small moments with him and his character. When he busts out there, that protein powder in his hands, with the whatever shirt he's wearing that's got a name of either I don't know, a comedian or an actor,
actress. It's
yeah. He already had his character nailed down when he and Adam showed up with their visor, their shirts, the top, the twist around, the sweaters tied around their waists. And of course, bring out that protein powder, talking as if they live in the 80s. I mean, and of course, he's talking like he's a sports dude, a jock bro. Like he knows exactly what the Schmoedown was missing: a fun character, someone you kind of want to hate, but at the same time you want to have fun with. And he never drops it throughout all of his matches. Aside from his post interview after his match against Bateman, which no explanation needed. No explanation needed. And then, of course, when we looked at the most recent match against Final Exam, Preston tried to do the whole, humble, I'm here just to play. I want to have a good time. What happens when they lose? Kate says, I want the old Paul back. What happens? Oh, look at what happened here. I tried to do like all these other nerds. I tried to be humble. I tried to be like the kind of person who just wanted to be happy to be here. Guess what? That didn't go nowhere. Paul can turn his character on a dime, and that's one thing that makes him so entertaining to watch.
He tried to be that role, which was funny. And the hat and the glasses. That was funny.
Really?
Yeah, it really was. Moving on to his next match. His singles debut against Rachel Silvestrini, wins via TKO, his only TKO/KO so far. He goes 7 of 8 in round 1, misses Horror Thriller. So again, almost another perfect round for Paul Preston.
Yeah.
Then he gets Spinner's Choice, gets Directors, goes 3 of 4, checks down once, misses it, and Silvestrini steals it. So that was huge. So going into round 3, 13-10, doesn't answer a round 3 question. So he wins via TKO, gets that much needed singles debut win. So he starts. That's where a majority of his matches in season 6 were in singles. Wins that match. There wasn't anything, I guess, entertaining about that match. It was pretty, I guess you could say, normal. There's nothing outstanding with that match. So his next match, his first of 2 against the Professor, Lon Harris. He does lose the first one, though.
2 opposites, those guys.
Miss it, yeah. He loses this one, but he does get beat him the second time. This is one of his perfect rounds. This is his second. His first one was Inky in the Brain. Goes 9 of 9. Lon only gets 6, so he has a pretty big 3-point lead. His round 2 is kind of where he struggled.
Yeah.
He got opponent's choice, where he was given Kate Winslet. Goes 2 of 4. Checks down once. It gets stolen. He does have an opportunity for steal under movie quotes, but does not get it. So he was not able to capitalize on that. So after round 2, the score is 13.
I believe that was an action-adventure question that he missed out on. It was a quote from Die Hard that unfortunately he didn't get the steal from.
Yes. So then round 3. So he's down. He's up 13-12.
Yeah.
So he gets sports for his 2-pointer, which he hits. Drama's for his 3-pointer, which he hits. But his 5-pointer is fantasy sci-fi, which he does not hit, which results in his loss.
And it was that situation where the match fell on him to win because Lon, on the other side of the table, he missed his 3-pointer in Brad Pitt movies and then got his 5-pointer in what category? Disney. So apparently, throughout his first 3 matches, Disney has been a pain in his ass, unfortunately. I mean, sure, Disney didn't cost him his match against Rachel, but it's a situation to where in round 2, he could have had a very strong lead, but it was because of a Disney question. He didn't sweep that category in directors. And as you see here, Lon gets a 5-pointer in Disney. He gets it. It goes back to Paul. He gets his 3, misses that 5. It's almost as if so far right now in certain seasons, there's a certain category that just unfortunately becomes the kryptonite to Paul Preston to stop him from actually climbing that mountain, or at least climbing that ladder to being really recognized. Because in my mind, he is a recognized player. It's just like everyone out there, there's a certain slice or weakness for us, and we're find them. But go ahead.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to say, he's almost there. He's almost at that plateau where he's on everybody's mind. Maybe in his next season.
I think at the start of this season, he was. Like, everyone thought that Paul was going to go on a serious run this year, maybe contend for Player of the Year, because he got placed with Tom. And just based on knowledge and what they've done previously, Tom and Paul should have been a amazing team. Exactly. They just, unfortunately, that first match against Deep 13, them choosing Festival Darlings to 2 film critics, was the reason they lost that match. There's no debating that, maybe they missed a question round 1 or round 3. No. If they had not given them Festival Darlings, they would have won that match.
Because Tom and Paul were definitely in the lead in that match. It was there was a wide berth, like by 3 or 4 points, but still, Tom and Paul had themselves a very strong, sizable lead. But the moment Deep 13 got those Festival Darlings, I believe they swept it. No steals involved. And it was just came down to where it was back and forth. I know they missed a round 3 question. They definitely missed a round 3 question, which is why it attributed to their loss. But it's once again that perfect set of circumstances, that perfect formula. You get the 2 strongest players of 2 separate teams from the movie guys and of the Looney Bin, and you bring them together, and you believe you're going to form this huge super team. Kind of like we saw with Final Exam this year. I mean, sure, Lon Harris may have never seemed as the best, but you look at his knowledge. There's no question this man is very intelligent. And then you saw what he did with this change in character with the delinquent, how he's more relaxed in his character, how he and Paul vibed with each other. That run they had during that month in August. I mean,
It was impressive. Sorry, I didn't really think it's impressive.
Go ahead.
It's totally impressive. And I don't know, maybe it's me. I feel like Tom and Paul are great, but I feel like they're missing that chemistry.
I think it's something that if they had normal matches, they would have been able to build it. But they had
just like how Paul, the final exam of the Pride they were able to find their chemistry.
Yeah, I know the matches in season 7, they do count, but for me, there's just you can't put too much stock into how, like, if a competitor played terrible in season 7, it's not really a viewpoint on what type of competitor they are. Just because things are not normal like they normally would in a studio or a venue environment.
And it's also double heartbreaking because season 7 was meant to be a fresh start for the Schmoedown. It was meant to finally
with all the factions,
with the soft, not just a faction, but also a soft reboot for Christian to take this league into a brand new direction. Because it was during season 6 at that time, while they were still doing things on their own, it was when at that time Christian was still partly a little bit with Collider, and then he was leading, funding everything on their own. The start of SCN after shows, and then it was just building on there to where season 7 felt as if they had the fan base, they had the genius, they had the content, they knew exactly where to take it. But what happens? This year just gave them a damaging blow, but they were able to recover very well with the constant. I mean, SCN Christian now has 2 separate Patreons for the Schmoedown and for SCN. That just shows exactly how smart he was able to bounce back from this. And with the constant support of this community, it's without a doubt in my mind, next year, if by the time we do go back in studios, I think Christian can do a mesh of both digital and studio matches.
I think he will. I think for a lot of the big-time competitors that we know, like a Bateman, Merle, Roca, those competitors will be in studio or venue matches. Right. But say those newer competitors like Jen Kemp, James White, like people that don't actually live in Southern California, they'll have those online matches so that Christian can develop them, because we're not going to have a lot of these big-time players forever. We're not going to have them forever. Some of them are probably just going to get burned out or just not do well and just kind of want to move on. So we need to make sure we have those players in the wings ready to go. And I know Christian has said that maybe because the online matches did so well that they might have a minor league system set up for those online matches. Like he'll use, now that he knows that it does pretty well, he could use StreamYard to do, and maybe there's some competitors in the fan leagues that Christian wants to try out, or like you can basically do a tryout or audition in a online match to see, all right, are you worth bringing up to the big leagues?
Yeah, because go ahead, Ben. Go ahead.
That brings up an interesting question. Dan Rule, he's huge. He's probably one of the best. But he lives in Arkansas now. So does he get studio matches? Or is it digital for him?
No. Christian will make sure that Dan is studio. It would probably be one of those things is he'll schedule Dan for like probably 2 or 3 matches over a weekend.
Yeah.
So that they film them all at once, so then Dan doesn't have to keep coming out every couple of weeks.
Exactly.
But if he beats Collins at Spectacular, he just has to worry about defenses, and those aren't that often.
Okay.
Those are every few months. So that, and basically, once things go back to normal, I can almost bet you any title defense will be at a live event.
Right. Okay.
And given if depending on what happens with the team's tournament. If he and John Roca are out, and everything's gonna fall on the wayside, rather, because if let's say the founding fathers or Roca and Dan are split apart by faction, by being drafted, I don't think Dan has no longer needs to worry about teams anymore, because he has said openly he would want to play with nobody other than John Roca.
Yeah.
You would need to get a very good player, or someone that kind of that would intrigue Dan to want to play with. And I personally think in my mind, I'm sorry, I will definitely let you go to that thought, Ben. But I do want to say this. If by chance the Founding Fathers don't win this tournament and they are split apart, one person I think who could work well with Dan.
Ooh, Paul Preston. That would be interesting.
Because I think because Dan has the knowledge and Paul has the knowledge too. Dan has been getting so much better with the promos. Now to where he can do it sitting down. He can do it sitting down.
He's so good now.
That would be another monster team in my mind. But go right ahead, Ben. I'm sorry for taking that.
No, okay. I'm sorry for interrupting you. My question is, if you're a manager, if you're a manager and you want that team, do you go after Founding Fathers, or you just go after one of them?
It depends on what, like, if Dan and Roca are kept as one of the three.
True.
For Finstock. The way Roca's talked about it, I don't see it. Like, I don't think Roca wants to play for Finstock.
No.
So I don't see it, but
I don't see anybody staying with Finstock. To be honest with you.
I've seen that take too, where he literally has none of his current. The only current competitor he may keep is Andrew DiMolanta. Like, everybody else would be like, bye-bye.
Yeah.
We all know Bateman is done with Finstock.
Yeah.
It depends on if Riley feels that he wants to continue following Bateman, or if he wants to stick with Finstock. Because in this singles tournament, Riley was able to bounce back after that team's loss. And it was because of his new lax attitude and just listening to Finstock on occasion, he was able to at least give out great performances. And one thing, Paul, and going back onto Preston, one thing that Paul did realize at the end of his run, he felt that maybe he too needed a manager, because after his match against Bateman in his post-interview, he saw exactly what Gucci did for Bateman getting that point back. And he kind of saw, just like everybody else did, maybe having someone in your corner. What's that for?
I don't know. It's probably something he put on his phone. It's probably an iPhone. It doesn't show up on my computer.
Oh my God, that's the worst part. But I was gonna say, maybe when it comes down to with Preston, the fact that he has openly admitted that maybe he does need a manager, and possibly I really don't want to put no blame on Kate, because this was her first season. This was her time trying out to be a manager. I think Kate has slightly improved in certain areas, but she was still a little rocky here. I think if Kate does not retain him, I think for management style, I think him being paired either with Levine or with somebody like Coy, or heck, let's say, for example, if Grace, she's constantly busy, so I don't see her coming back as a manager, more like an advisor.
But like this year?
Yeah, but I'm saying, but Grace actually makes the choice to be a full manager. I could see Paul under her as under management, because she's got a killer instinct.
I mean, we heard about Ken retiring, so they're going to need another man. I don't see Christian going down to 8 teams, because that leaves out 10 competitors. So I think we'll get someone to replace him.
It was supposed to be 10 this season.
I think Christian is adamant that it will. I think he thinks 10's too much, so that's why it's going to stay at 9. Ben,
you know who I can see Paul working with?
Yeah,
Kaiser.
Hey, Adam Kaiser
works really well with Kaiser. So I would like to see,
management. Witt has shown good work as a manager. So
I think he's 2-0. If you include the bootleg. If you include the Ellis Roca bootleg, I believe Witt is 2-0.
That's right. He coached Roca. Witt coached Roca.
Coach.
That was a fun match. That was a fun match.
Yeah, that was pretty entertaining. But
yeah, I'll just say the next time I see Roca do this again, I swear to God, I'm just gonna
like, what are you doing?
You're literally trying to make me cross-eyed here by swirling your bourbon around. And that's not how you swirl your alcohol around, Roca. I thought you're an outlaw. You're supposed to be able to know how to swirl a drink. Jeez.
So, trying to get back on topic there.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah,
his fourth match is against David Del Rio, which was actually they didn't call it this, but it was a play-in match. It was a play-in match for the singles tournament. They called it a qualifier. Same thing. Whoever wins this goes into the singles tournament.
But there was a funny catch to that because Del Rio, unfortunately, even if he did win, he couldn't play because he had previous obligations as a working actor. So it's more of if he won, he gets to choose who to play. And it kind of led to one of my favorite funny quips from Paul during the promo. He's like, he pretty much said to anyone else, if I win, I can promise you this. I'll show up. So it was just kind of like, that's one thing about Paul. He does have some good witty one-liners in his promos and in his post-interviews.
I can't. There's one in the Bateman match, and when we talk about that one, that's probably my favorite line out of any promo he's ever done.
But let's definitely go Del Rio.
Yeah. So Del Rio goes perfect. 9 of 9. Preston only gets 5. So after that first round, you're thinking, oh my, Del Rio's going to win this. He's not even going to be playing in the singles tournament. He gets to pick. So it's more of just his motivation is make sure that Preston doesn't win to keep him out of the singles tournament.
Exactly.
And then round 2 happens. Preston gets Oscars, gets 3 of 4, goes multiple choice on question 3. He misses it. Del Rio doesn't steal it. However, Paul Preston goes to town on steals like Logan is saying here. Yes.
Exactly.
Actors and actresses, he did not do well. Paul got 5 points in steals. He got 1 on multiple choice, and he got 2 other ones. That was the swing of that. Literally changed the match.
That was really heartbreaking too, because you just saw Del Rio. He had himself. He was on a roll with that round 1. He also came off of a great win against Whitney Seibold. So it was like he was finally getting his groove on. And of course, in being a working actor, you figured actors and actresses makes perfect sense. But just like in the Schmoedown, do not rely too heavily on your strengths, your personal strengths, because the randomness of the questions and depending on the difficulty of them, it will cut the legs underneath from you. We've seen that happen with Riley. We've seen it happen with Roca. We've seen it happen with Harloff. We've seen it happen with Howard, with Mike. Even though, he does great in Bond, but any other thing he wants to pick as a strength, he's messed up on. We've even seen that done.
You don't necessarily have to be good on every single slice on the wheel.
Yeah.
You just can't have a major weakness.
Right.
If you're average, so say you get 4 questions, if you can get 3 of them, then you're fine. But if you get a slice where you're like 1 to 2, that's what hurts you. Or in teams, you can only get 2 of the 3 of the 6. Like, you don't have to be amazing at every single one. You just got to be good enough that if it spins on that slice, that it's not the major factor in turning the match around, which is what happened here with actors and actresses for Del Rio. Preston goes up 16-11 after round 2. Preston only has to answer his new releases, his 2-pointer, gets it, wins the match 18-16. So with that, he qualifies for the 2019 Ultimate Schmoedown Tournament. And
in that post interview with Emma, we got the line that got him noticed, where this is me, this is the Schmoedown. This is notice, this is the Schmoedown. On notice. Like that line alone, dead serious, no punchline, just making a statement, got him recognized. I mean, if he wasn't recognized enough, but that put him from, let's just say, his matches so far he was like seen here. That line after Del Rio, it raised his status without a doubt in my mind. And we definitely do see that in his match against Lon. He was dead serious of playing.
Yeah, his first match in the tournament is against someone he had just played just a couple matches ago, Lon Harris, but this time he gets his revenge. He wins this match. They both go 7 of 8 in round 1, so it's tied at 7.
They were both tied. Oh, go ahead.
Paul gets movie quotes. He gets the 4. So, like I was saying, it may not be almost any competitor will say who said it or movie quotes is a scary category. Because literally they can pull anything from any movie, take any line of dialogue. It is very scary. You can't study for it. You cannot study for movie quotes. You just watch the movie and hopefully you remember some important dialogue that you think they may pull from. So then Lon Harris gets Steven Spielberg.
Ooh, this, just like with Del Rio, he bombs in this.
4 points in steals. He gets 4 points in steals off the amazing director that is Spielberg.
And this is the funny. Oh, actually, no. This is going to bring into the round 3 question. But the question that one of Lon's questions he misses is round 2. How many Tom Cruise directed? How many times did Spielberg direct Tom Cruise? He said 0. Paul said 2 for a 2-point steal. We see that come back in the 3rd round. His 5-pointer is Tom Cruise,
and he gets it like that.
Yes, and of course, Mark Ellis makes a great quip. He's like, he doesn't know that that's a Steven. Actually, Clark Wolf was on the desk with them too. He's like, that's a Steven Spielberg directed film, and yet he didn't know that. And
then Lon was like, well, it's this thing called strategy. I'm like, is it though? Like, you should.
Jen went to town. Jen went to town.
You should not intentionally miss a question to throw people off that you're not good on it. Like that is leaving points on the table, and you can't afford to do that.
Yeah.
Because you had no idea that you would get a Tom Cruise question for your 5-pointer. That's what's so insane about the Schmoedown. You pick random numbers, and it could help you, it could hurt you.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of competitors don't do this because they're just worried about getting down. I'm like, but if you guess with 2 points, there's a chance you could even get farther down. But yeah.
And in these situations with Matt and David Del Rio, it definitely just seeing that happen. I'm pretty sure we're going to see this happen with a lot more competitors and profiles we're going to over review. But it's just like seeing, once again, the fact that we are looking back at the Schmoedown matches throughout the history of this. We really have to take all of these, the performance that Lon and Del Rio unfortunately had in round 2. Whenever we see someone of a current season, unfortunately have a bad match, and then people want to come up with questions like, oh, you could have gone to multiple choice too, or how come you didn't, or why did you stick with this strength or so? Like, of course, the person I'm immediately going to go to is Bonnie Somerville, how everyone was judging her on her match against Marisol and Brett, how
she had an amazing 5-pointer pull against Marisol, though.
Yes. Without a doubt, amazing 5-pointer. But then, of course, when people wanted to look at her round 2, how everyone's saying, oh, she forgot about multiple choice. Okay, let's take a look. Even the pros like John, like Roca and Merle have forgotten about multiple choice. And what we've seen in the back-to-back matches from what we watched with Del Rio and with Lon, they've also forgotten about multiple choice. So it's just more like you can't fault someone like Bonnie who doesn't play a lot compared to guys like Lon, also to Dan, to Ben Bateman, to Andrew Guy. People, no matter how many times you play, when it's the heat of the moment in that match, no matter what the score is or what the questions are, it's going to slip your mind to go multiple choice. And sometimes battling your inner thoughts when you're trying to deduce the question, whether if it's a quote or if it's a director or an actor, or if it's a certain plot in a movie, you're so focused on trying to find that answer that by the time you hear 5, 4, 3, your mind's going lightning fast to where you might forget about multiple choice. So I can never fault anyone who forgets that in the second round or who uses all their JTEs in the first or second round because they're so dead set on wanting to answer the question. It's not the fact that it's not the fact of strategy. It's just more of maybe it's personal pride that they feel like they want to get that question.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's mainly just the high intensity moment of making sure to answer that question for 2 points that you hear 5, you're like, oh crap. Like you just get nervous, you get anxious, and you forget to either use a repeat or say multiple choice. So his next match is against the eventual Ultimate Schmoedown champion in Ben the Boss Bateman. Literally, his promo in this match has the best thing I've ever heard. Master Bateman. I love how he ends it. He's like, okay, where's the swear jar? Because he was pretty profanity laced in that promo.
Yeah.
But this is his first really difficult competitor I feel like he's faced. Like everyone else up to that point was, I feel like, on his level. Like I feel like he was the favorite in every single one of those. This is the one where he was clearly the underdog. This was going to be extremely difficult. This was going to be an uphill climb for him. And they both go perfect in round 1. Bateman, like that's the only way that Preston had a shot, is he literally had the match question for question against Bateman, because Bateman at this time was on a roll. He was like he was clicking. He knew everything. So if you missed one question, especially in round 1, that 2-point swing is huge. Huge swing.
Bateman was also dealing with back issues. So the fact that he was able to still perform while coming off of like back surgery, that also is a testament of his character. And the fact that Paul, of course, himself during this time, unfortunately, that his wife Karen was battling cancer. So both of these men were they were definitely off, but they were not off their game, and they had enough strength of will to continue playing. And then even when we went into that second round, I mean, Paul gets directors again. He only went to multiple choice once, just gained 5 points. Ben steals 2 points off of him. But even when Ben got the chance to his spin, there was still an opportunity before it landed on movie release dates. There was still optimism that Paul could turn it around. And what happens? Movie release dates.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Yeah. He gets spinner's choice, gets directors. He gets 3 of the 4. He does check down on his first one, but Bateman steals question number 3, which is huge. And like you said, he gets movie release dates. He goes 4 for 4. So Bateman gets 9 points in that round. So they're tied after 1 round. Bateman then has a 4-point lead going into the final round.
Yep.
Where Paul's 2-pointer is Action Adventure. Gets it. 3-pointer, Jodie Foster. Gets it. His 5-pointer, however, is Horror. Does not get it. And he loses the match.
That was a 5-pointer. That's for damn sure.
Yes, that one was like, I don't know. First of all, I probably couldn't even get a 2-pointer Horror, let alone a 5-pointer Horror.
Me too.
5-pointers for Paul Preston throughout his career are not good.
Yeah.
But you could say that about a lot of competitors, because 5-pointers are really difficult. It is something they're extremely difficult. He's 1 of 6 on his 5-pointers. That's not good.
But that is room for him to improve on, definitely. When we get to talking about Paul next year for next season, things he can improve on, I believe 5-pointers is something he will definitely be able to improve on.
Because he's really good on his 2 and 3-pointers. So he knows that he'll be fine on his 2 and his 3. If he has to answer his 5, it's very miss. You gotta occasionally he will hit it. So that was the end of his singles career, his rookie season in season 6. To be honest, before hearing that question on the Schmoedown, I'd never heard of it. But there's a lot of horror thriller movies that I haven't seen, so it's not saying much.
I may have seen that on the top 10 list of a content creator I've watched. I guess for me, it's just like horror movies. Just like, it's not like I'm picky. It's just pretty much like superhero movies and comedies. That genre can be milked that's an easily milked genre where you can come up with so many ripoffs, so many copycats to where you really need some true originality in order to make horror shine.
Yeah, really do. Next match is what I would say his best teams match.
Yeah,
his match against Shazam. Him and Adam Witt were clicking on all cylinders in this match. He almost goes perfect. Misses the final one under comedies. So we know that he's gone perfect 5 times. There was another match earlier where he missed the 7th question. He missed the final one on this one. He could have had 7 perfect rounds throughout 10 matches.
Exactly.
That's incredible.
And if we look at round ones, the categories he's constantly always nailing, I'm mainly seeing like action, adventure, 80s.
So his top ones.
Yeah.
So he's answered 10, and all of the other ones are like 2 and 3. So action and adventure, he's not a 10. Animated, 9 out of 10. Comedy, 8 of 10. Drama, 9 of 10. Fantasy sci-fi, 9 of 10. Horror thriller, 9 of 10.
Yeah. The only ones I see that he could slightly be weak in is rom-com and fantasy sci-fis, honestly.
The thing with rom-com, though, is he's only had 4 questions.
Yeah.
He's gotten 3 of them. Like, based on this, you would like it's hard to say that he's not good in any category in round 1, just because the ones that he hasn't done well, he hasn't had a lot of opportunities, and they're not the ones that are typically in every match, like action adventure, animated, fantasy sci-fi, like
drama, directors, horror thriller, actors, actresses. Yeah,
they're not in every single match, so it's really hard to state, is he good in this or is he not good in this? Like round 1, Paul Preston is really, really good so far. So, I'm
sorry, Tim, I interrupted you. Were you gonna say something?
No. I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, I apologize.
It's 13-14 after round 1. Round 2 is Paul's favorite directors. Ooh. They go 6 of 6. They get all of them. Huge. So far they've only missed 3 questions because Adam Witt missed fantasy sci-fi in round 1. Mm-hmm. So they're doing really well. They're tied after round 2, 25-25, against the eventual future teams division champions in Shazam. So then round 3 is their 2-pointer is Oscars, which Paul Preston gets. Their 3-pointer is biopics, Adam Witt gets, but their 5-pointer is Charlize Theron, which trips them up. They do not get it.
And it's
Shazam's 5-pointer was so easy. Bibbs got it like that.
Well,
it's like, oh.
What's up, Ben?
What was their 5-pointer again? Shazam?
Yeah, I didn't fucking write that down. I just wrote down what they got it in. I just wrote down what their category was.
Yeah, all I remember is that they quickly talked Bibbs and the kid. Like it was like 2 seconds and then they knew it.
Like they didn't have to hesitate. North County, yeah.
Yeah, I believe it's like she's been nominated for what was her second Oscar nom?
Right.
I believe was the movie guy's question. So with that loss,
yeah, I don't
30 points. Yeah. 30 points and they lose. Like that's just ridiculous. You score 30 points, you expect to win a match. Unfortunately, they do not. So that is the end of their season for season 6.
End of the movie.
Amazing debut season for Paul Preston, though. 7 matches. Not a lot of competitors can say that they've had 7 matches in a season. So congrats there to Paul Preston. His next match is a teams match. The infamous Festival Darlings match. Tom and Paul versus Deep 13.
I found the 5-pointer that Shazam got. It was pretty much in horror. What was the name of the demon that possessed Regan in The Exorcist? That was their 5-pointer.
Horror for Bibbs? That's not fair.
Yeah.
It's not fair. Yeah, like, and like, if I remember right, like, it's a really weird name. Like, it would have been interesting. Yeah, like, it would have been interesting to see it spelled, because I feel like that's one that would have to be spelled correctly, but you would never ask that level of a question in round one. So next match, Tom and Paul, Deep 13. Paul again goes perfect.
Even Tom came close to being perfect with him.
Actually, he did. They both went perfect in that match. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. I missed something. Okay. All right.
It's 16-15.
Yeah.
16-15 after round one. They get opponent's choice, and they get rom-com, because if I remember right, their first spin, they got rom-com, and they spinned away. It was so... Whitney was like, yeah, let's give them rom-coms. So, but they do fairly well. They go 4-6. They check down on the final one, but it does get stolen. And so after round two, after Deep 13 is given,
opponent's choice
is given Festival Darlings. Again, we don't need to go much in depth with that because it's been heavily discussed on all the after shows the week of the match. So they go into round three. They miss their 2-pointer by Tom. They get their, which was scores and soundtracks. Their 3-pointer was fantasy sci-fi, which Preston gets. Yeah. And their 5-pointer was directors. We all know how much. Yeah, I was surprised by that one too, how Tom didn't know James Horner. I felt like that would be, but again, could be something.
A Beautiful Mind and Paul 13 is Ron Howard. So, yeah, I guess Tom was maybe trying to find the connective thread there. I get this. Yeah. Sorry.
So they get directors for their 5-pointer, which we all know Paul Preston's really good at directors.
Yeah, redemption for a 5-pointer.
Yeah. This is the only one he's gotten correct, by the way. Every single one he's gotten wrong, but they lose the match 32-36. 32 points and you lose a match? That's crazy to me.
That's teams tournament level of getting points, honestly, because teams tournament is one of the best examples of getting over 30 points and still losing, as we have seen with Self-Righteous Brothers.
Deep 13, I believe they tied the team's record in this match for points in the match.
Yeah, which was originally set by Top 10.
Yeah. So then his next match is not until the singles tournament, which is like 4 or 5 months later. So he has not competed in a very, very long time. He misses the first question. Misses. Because he doesn't give the chance to give his answer because he keeps writing after the time is up.
Yeah.
Question is challenged more on Kaiser and not Zipper. Like Zipper pointed it out, but he didn't want to challenge it. But I think Kaiser, he saw that Zipper was thinking about it. So then Kaiser makes the challenge. It is upheld. So he misses the first question. He does miss the final one in animated. So it's 6-7 going into round number 2. And he gets a tough one. He gets comic book movies because he spins away from Festival Darlings.
I mean, I get it. I get the spin. I mean, but of course, yeah, if I got something that screwed me over in a previous match, I too want to stay the hell away from it. And you saw that look on his face the moment it landed there. He didn't hesitate. He didn't want to bring in Kate. He's just like, no, get that thing away from me. And it was just
like, no, I don't want Festival Darling. So he goes 3 of 4. He checks down 3 times, gets it twice, but does get a point stolen by Zipper. So after round 2, he's down 10-14. Does not have the best round 3 in this match.
No,
he gets musicals, which is his 2-pointer. Then he gets Leonardo DiCaprio for his 3 and Pixar for his 5. Very close on his 5, though. Very close. It was how many Pixar movies has Michael Giacchino scored. He says 6. I believe it was 7.
Yes, so close.
As of the end of 2019 is what they made sure to preface. So loses. A lot of people had Paul, including myself, winning the Ultimate Schmoedown tournament. When that happened, I was like, oh, there goes my bracket. There goes my bracket. It's just, boom, it exploded.
Yeah.
Moving on to his final match was like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. Tom and Paul versus Final Exam. Again, he goes perfect.
Yeah. I think also Paul Yama went perfect as well. Because at first,
so Lon,
all four of them looked like they were, yeah.
Everyone but Tom went perfect. So it's 18-16 after round 1. Yeah. That's higher than some singles matches.
Yeah.
Like you got 4 competitors that definitely know a lot. Then gets comedies. He goes 4 of 6, checks down once, but there is a 2-point steal though.
And it's kind of, and look, and that comedy slice when they spun that, it's almost that Paul kind of wanted to spin away from it because he wanted to find something him and Tom can work well with. But Tom, this was kind of like
something was off, and like you could definitely their lack of chemistry was so evident in this match.
Yeah.
Like there were.
He didn't even try to argue. He didn't try to make no points on spinning away from comedy. It's just more of, I think I'm good. I think I can work with you on that one. It's just like it was kind of one of those situations where Tom in character kind of failed him at this point.
Well, can I ask you something real quick? I'm sorry.
No, go for it, man. You take the mic.
Do you think Tom's character got in the way of Tom and Paul winning this match?
Yeah, Ryan literally just said that he felt like his character got in the way, especially maybe they shouldn't have gone with comedies. And then one of their round 3 questions, Tom didn't even know, but again, I don't know if
Paul had to take. I think Paul was answering the most out of all the round 2 questions, of all those comedy questions, and Ben. I said that Tom's staying character failed him, but it definitely showed. Like after that 3rd question, there was like a look on Paul's face to realize that he had to carry the rest of the match. Yeah. And it's not as if Tom was trying to be self-sabotage or so, but it was kind of those situations to where character overtook the playing aspect. Just like with Matt Ashedy when it was MODOK versus the Patriots. It was just kind of unfortunate. The character's great, but if you invest too much time into it, it falls apart. And I'm going to say the same thing. It was the same thing with Andrew Guy in the team's match against Deception. He was trying to be the old guy. Unfortunately, that kind of backfired. But that's just more of, his personal vendetta against the digital format.
So we get into round 3. They get 90s for the 2-pointer. Tom gets that one. Directors. Luckily, Paul decided to take the 3-pointers because Paul's really good at directors. And then they missed their 5-pointer for drama. And as Logan is stating here, lockup.
Sylvester Stallone is a fickle mistress when it comes to movie trivia.
Yeah, this was the one where Tom had no idea. Like basically what he said is it was a Sly movie. So literally all he knew was that it was a Stallone movie. Preston seemed pretty sure that he knew the right answer. Unfortunately, he did not. So they end up losing the match, and that is his career so far. So it really is a tale of 2 completely different seasons for Paul Preston. Yeah. Season 6 was his coming out party. Did exceptionally well. Really showed the league what kind of a competitor he is. He is a competitor you may not want to face. Season 7 was just every single match, something just didn't go his way. The first one, it was the Festival Darlings. Then his singles tournament match against Zipper gets comic book movies, which you can definitely tell he was not a fan of that. He spinned away, though, from Festival Darlings, just probably because it has still left a bad taste in his mouth. Yeah. And then his Tom and Paul versus Final Exam.
They got comedy.
Final Exam did really well. That's when Final Exam, because they had 2 matches in teams prior, just like a few weeks earlier.
They played against the Experiment in a studio match. Then they played against the Pride. No, they played against D13, then the Pride, and then Shazam. So Final Exam had 4 matches under their belt of their chemistry to show you that this was going to be a very tough match. And with Paul, tale of 2 seasons, as you said, Brandon. And the best example what we can do is with TV shows. Paul had a great freshman year for season 1, blew everyone out of the water. Had a few stumbles, but was still enough momentum to carry in. Guess what? The sophomore year, season 2, like at most TV shows, he suffers huge from that to where you're not sure if he can recover from that. And I think personally for me, despite this season, I still think Paul is a dangerous competitor. I still think Paul is a top competitor. And personally for me, if the Winds of Fate happens, I still think I can see Paul Preston as a teammate to Dan Murrell or to anybody else. I mean, I could see so many combinations of Paul Preston because of his knowledge. He just needs to find that person not only he has great chemistry with, but can also work with him when it comes to slices that unfortunately they're just not that good in.
I think Paul is going to be one of the competitors that Kate keeps. I think he'll be one of the 3 there for the Dean. But I'm really excited to see what we are going to get going forward. So just a quick breakdown of stats.
Go for it.
Round 1, he's had 80 questions, not including the bonus round. He's gotten 73. That's 91%. Amazing. So with the bonus, that gives us 78 of 85. It's 92%. Round 2, he's okay. Now, this does not include any of his steals.
I agree with you 100%. Leo.
If we get season 6, Paul, no doubt about it, he is comeback player of the year.
Agreed.
No doubt about it. Round 2, 35 of 48, 73%. So not terrible, but I feel like round 2, you need to be a little bit better. You need to be in the low 80s, I feel like, for round 2 if you want to be a top-tier competitor. And then round 3, 14 of 22 for 64%. It's mainly because of his 5-pointers. He's 1 of 6 on his 5-pointers. That is what's taking all that down. Yeah. So here are his scores for his singles matches. 13, 18, 18, 22, 19, and 12. It's an average of 17 points a match. Pretty good.
And looking at the low score matches, those are matches where he wins by not having been pushed to his 5-pointer.
Yeah. Like that, like for singles matches, that's the only way you see high scores is if both competitors are playing very well and they're both pushed to their 5-pointer there in round 3. His teams matches, though, 24, 30, 32, 29. It's an average of 28.75. 28, almost 29 points, a teams match, and he's 0-4.
Wow.
That's insane. That has got to be the most telling stat I've ever seen that shows record does not dictate how good a competitor is.
We have said this with Scrimshaw. We're reiterating it. We are reiterating it again with Preston, and I'll even say the same thing from our previous ones with Zipper and Drew. Do not let the point statistics, do not let their records show you their stats or exactly of their ability as a player, because anything can change. And one thing, of course, with Drew, we did that before she had her match against Jen Kim.
Yeah,
if you guys watched her match against Jen Kim, she went perfect,
dude. Yeah, and she like checked down once or twice there in round 2.
Yeah, well, yeah, and then she didn't even have to answer anything. I think she only had to answer like she won by TKO in round 3.
Yeah, so she didn't even answer a round 3 question. So we just did it just a little bit too early there on video, Drew. There, but Paul Preston, like Leo was saying, watch him out for season 8.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see, is he going to still be on the Den? Hopefully he gets more matches there in season 8.
If you guys have seen that recent post from Christian regarding the breakdown, he did say that those who are not, I mean, pretty much players can still choose to want to come back, even if they are champions or not. So there's no longer anyone who's protected. It's pretty much if you have a belt, there's no possibility you're going to be retained by your manager. So pretty much this next year is really a big shakeup. Just like the nuke last season, this season feels. Oh, Leo's point out. She did have to answer a 2-pointer. Okay.
I would trust Logan because Logan knows his stuff.
He has more. He retains his stuff much more faster than we did.
Yeah. So,
You're on him.
So yeah. I might start that now. Paul for comeback player of the year, but I have to give credit to Logan for that because he came up with it. So definitely gonna keep an eye there on Paul Preston there for season 8. We'll have to just see where he ends up. But overall, for Paul Preston, without his bonus questions, he's 81% accuracy. He's 82% with his bonus. Again, this does not include his steals, though. This does not include the steals in there. This is just questions that he himself answered. So congrats to Paul Preston. Amazing episode today, guys. We got really in depth. And we threw some current Schmoedown stuff in there. We try to talk about it a little bit, but it's not our major focus. But it's just when it comes up depending on what we're talking about, we will kind of just intertwine it in. But any parting thoughts today, guys?
Ben, I'll start with you.
I'm excited to see what happens next year. Like, where does he end up with his teammate? Can we get that season 6 format? I hope so.
I just want him back with Wit. I love their chemistry. It's so great.
Paul, he's a great entertainer, a great trivia player. He has a very sharp tongue. Like, he's very charismatic from what we've seen in his promos. And it's like, this is somebody I can't see without the Schmoedown. I mean, sure, if he's not playing in a while, this is someone I would still want to come back in a match. But no, Paul has really stamped himself. He's left his footprint in the Schmoedown. And he's one of those, even if we do further down the road, we finally lose the top tiers like Roca, like Dan, Riley, like the legends. I see Paul Preston as not the new blood, but more someone who I can see take over the mantle of someone like Merle, like Roca, like Riley, like even with Bateman. Bateman, even though he's on top, he wants to get back on top there. I can see Bateman and Preston as the next like great feud from their first match together. Hell,
you know what would be interesting to see, but I don't think he'll go into singles? Witt versus Preston. We'll have a movie, guys, Civil War.
Oh, if we get that, I mean, shit. That would the fact that Witt and Preston are so familiar with each other, they will give us so much comedic and entertainment value.
Yeah.
So we had a Wildberry Civil War, we had an Ashton Civil War. Heck, we get a freaking. I mean, even from old matches with Riley and Clark Wolf facing each other, even though technically it wasn't a war, it was just a friendly competition. But I would still love to see something like that, a friendly competition between Witt and Preston. Not from their channel, which their channel is fantastic. Subscribe to the Movie Guys channel. It's pure entertainment value. But on the Schmoedown, we just see them face each other in either an exhibition or even if they get put in a singles match against each other. You have me right there.
Exactly, yeah. But I think Witt is more teams than Star Wars.
Yeah.
But you never know what we're going to get next season. Any last thoughts, Ben?
I only need mine.
Oh, okay.
Any other final thoughts?
Final thought.
We dominated most of this conversation.
Like I said, I'm definitely to see the future of Paul. That's all I will say.
So yeah, this was very fun. Just keep an eye out on the socials. You'll see our Twitter right there below Ryan, and you'll see all 3 of our personal Twitters at the top. Just keep an eye out on those. We will be posting who our next competitor is. Yeah. Very excited to talk about this person. Until next time, we will see everybody later.